Beijing is hosting a high-stakes summit between the United States and China. Inside the Great Hall of the People, the leaders of the world's two largest economies, which represent alone nearly 40% of the global GDP, met face-to-face in circumstances marked by international turmoil and volatility. US President Donald Trump's visit comes amid rising global tensions and amid holding talks covering such issues as trade, technology, energy security, and the Strait of Hormuz, and the wider balance of power between Washington and Beijing. President Xi Jinping warned that mishandling key issues could lead to confrontation, while President Trump described the meeting as very positive and productive. But beyond the diplomatic language, the core question remains: are the US and China moving towards stable coexistence or deeper strategic rivalry? With major global corporations also present in Beijing, the lines between geopolitics and global business have rarely been more blurred. What is at stake is not just the outcome of one summit, but the direct of the global order itself. Welcome to our special coverage. Ahead of our discussion, here's a closer look at a summit with the potential to reshape the strategic balance between the world's two largest powers and redefine the future of global diplomacy, with the report of our colleague Nabil Khazini.
How carefully this meeting had been prepared could be seen in every detail, and this shows how important it actually is. The long red carpet stretching across the entrance of the Great Hall of the People, the military band standing motionless beneath Beijing's sky. And at the top of the sweeping marble staircase, Xi Jinping waiting for Donald Trump before the two men met beneath rows of Chinese and American flags. For a few moments, the choreography said everything. Two leaders, two rival powers, and a relationship now considered too important to collapse, yet too complicated to truly repair. Inside the Great Hall, both presidents spoke of a new vision for ties between Washington and Beijing, language designed to suggest stability at a time when tensions between the world's two largest economies continue to deepen. And this summit was never really about friendship, it was about management. Managing trade disputes that have reshaped global markets, managing technological rivalry over semiconductors and artificial intelligence, managing military tensions in the Indo-Pacific, and above all, managing the growing distrust now embedded in almost every level of the relationship. For Xi Jinping, the message was clear. China wants what it calls constructive strategic stability, competition without confrontation, pressure without rupture. Beijing is seeking relief from American tariffs and technology restrictions, while making clear once again that Taiwan remains its most sensitive red line.
Are two countries that any president.
For Donald Trump, the calculations were equally clear. Surrounded by senior American business and technology figures, the president arrived focused on trade access, investment, and preserving direct communication with Beijing, even as Washington continues trying to reduce dependence on China in critical industries. Yet despite the divisions, the tone throughout the meetings remained noticeably restrained. No dramatic breakthrough emerged today, no reset, no grand bargain. Instead, what both sides appeared to acknowledge was something far more realistic: that rivalry between China and the United States is no longer temporary. It is structural, global, and likely to define international politics for years to come. But beneath the ceremony and carefully managed symbolism inside Beijing's Great Hall, there also appeared to be agreement on one crucial point. Neither side believes confrontation is affordable, and neither side can afford to stop talking.
To help us break down these developments and what they could mean going forward, we are joined by two distinguished guests. From Washington, D.C., we are joined by Michael Springman. He's a former U.S. diplomat and political commentator. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation.
Well, I'm happy to be here, and I hope that I prove to be worthy of your audience.
Thank you so much. And from Beijing, we are also joined by Ling Gui, economic commentator and analyst focusing on China's economy, trade policy, and global markets. Thank you, sir, for being with us again.
Thank you.
And to start, we will start with you, Mr. Lin, with this first question. How does Beijing interpret the current phase of US-China relations, cooperation, containment, or managed confrontation?
Yes, so if you read the speech that President Xi gave during his meeting with Donald Trump, you will notice that, first of all, he put this meeting in the very long historical span and emphasize this meeting's significance. He mentioned that there's the world is changing rapidly, and it's unprecedented. The changes is so dramatic that it's unprecedented in the past 100 years. So, he's emphasizing the importance and significance of this meeting. And then he put forward this new unprecedented kind of relationship called strategic stability. So it's not strategic cooperation. So it means China is realizing the fact that there will be unavoidable competition between the two major countries in the world. So we do not hope to get rid of the competition, because healthy competition can promote development. We just want to manage the competition. So we want a kind of relationship called strategic stability, so that we can avoid the fierce confrontation.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I move to Mr. Springman. Is Washington trying to balance engagement and containment at the same time? And is that inherently unstable?
I believe your concept of trying to balance two different contrasting viewpoints is an accurate one. In my opinion, I believe that the Chinese government and President Xi are riding on millennia-old civilization and culture, and are very clever, very diplomatic, and take the long view rather than what the United States does. The United States, in the person of Donald Trump, is there in China attempting to grandstand, attempting to drag along a dozen billionaires from giant corporations like Boeing and Apple. At the same time, he has been threatening the People's Republic of China with sanctions, with restrictions, with constant pinprick attacks on the Chinese air and naval space. And at the same time, claiming that he's there to do a business deal, that he's essentially reflecting his New York City businessman, wheeler-dealer persona. I would expect to see the Chinese being very polite, but being very close to very diplomatically pushing back at Donald Trump and his upstart ideas. For example, I thought it significant that the president of China did not receive Donald Trump at the airport. He sent his vice president instead. The president Xi has emphasized to Donald Trump and the United States that Taiwan, the so-called Republic of China, is a no-go zone.
And for this, I will turn to Mr. Lin. From China's perspective, has the idea of global partnership with the US effectively ended, or it's still possible?
Yes, of course. You know that we can see that Elon Musk and Jensen Huang is they are joining this group to visit China, and you know that Tesla has the largest gigafactory, automobile gigafactory in the world, located in Shanghai, and more than half of its supply chain relies on China. And you know that Jensen Huang has been lobbying that the United States shouldn't restrict chip exports to China, because he wants, if he wants to maintain his market share, that it won't be wise to allow its rivals in China to take up the space left behind by his retrieval. So the two sides have a lot of complementary supply chain. Their supply chains are complementary, and they can cooperate with each other.
Maybe let me turn here to Mr. Springman. Does U.S. policy still believe or assume it can shape or limit China's rise, or has that assumption already failed?
Well, in my view, I think you're correct in saying that the U.S. is still trying to limit China's rise, its ascendancy, and if there were any sensible heads in Washington, they would recognize the great power and potential of China with its education, with its organization, with its long history of civilization. But instead, they are attempting to do ridiculous things, according to the Secretary of State Rubio, that China has agreed to hamstring Iran and open the Strait of Hormuz, when in actual fact, China has seen the long game, seen the dangers of American hegemony in West Asia, and along with the Russian Federation has been providing intelligence, weapons, and advice to the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Americans talk one game, and then it's somehow divorced from reality. The Chinese believe in truth and long-term relationships, and the Americans can't see beyond next week.
Right, and despite summit language, distrust remains high. So what does Beijing believe Washington fundamentally misunderstands about China's intention, Mr. Lin?
Yeah, you know that, Chinese politicians have a very long life, political life. And in comparison, there's a political cycle in the United States, it's 4 years. And that's the big difference. So, it's much easier for Chinese politicians to look at the relationship from a very long-term view, maybe from at least for decades, because their political life is several decades. And but it's very different for the United States. So this time, you can if you notice that China proposed this so-called strategic stability for at least next 3 years. It's stated in the speech by President Xi. So, it means China is being very practical, and China is very clear, very aware that nobody will know what will happen. Nobody knows what will happen in another 3 years. So, President Xi pushed forward this strategic stability and emphasized that at least he and Donald Trump can make sure for the next 3 years they will maintain this stability. And he also said that he hopes that this stability will last longer.
Yes, and here maybe the US is underestimating how deeply entrenched the rivalry has become inside both political systems, Mr. Springman, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. There's great distrust of China by the United States. for nothing more than moving its economy in great leaps and bounds from Chairman Mao's Cultural Revolution, which was a great failure, to a very organized, very productive, and highly technological society and business model. I have talked to people who've been to China, and they were tremendously impressed with how everything is organized. I, in fact, have a Chinese tenant from Guangzhou who tells me all kinds of marvelous things about how things work so well in China, and demonstrates to me with his cell phone and with his personal knowledge. So I am greatly impressed and really think that the American government should pay more attention to reality and how the Chinese government is actually operating and how Chinese society and industry are operating, and its educational system, which produces people who are very capable and able to adjust to a new reality, something that the American government and the American people and American society and industry somehow can't.
Yes, and maybe we do have in the horizons a realistic diplomatic framework that can rebuild trust at this stage, Mr. Lin.
Yes, sure. So aside from the framework, I think both sides want to see some more practical discussions. And from the footage, we wouldn't see such practical discussions. But you know that last night or in the evening yesterday, the delegations, the business delegations met each other. And there are 18 big names from the United States, and Donald Trump said that he allows only the CEO of the company to join his group to China, and he doesn't want a second-in-hand to come to China. So we can see that the business delegation from the United States is very sincere about discussion and cooperation with China. And also we can see the leaders, the CEOs of the Chinese, their Chinese counterparts, CEO from ByteDance and Tencent, Alibaba, they joined the meeting,
the discussions
as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, economically speaking, Mr. Springman, are sanctions, tariffs, and export controls becoming structural tools of permanent confrontation between both nations, between the US and China, maybe?
Well, as far as sanctions and the like, controls on people, controls on business, restrictions on sales and so forth, that is the game of the United States. It is economic warfare. In some ways, it's a substitute for armed warfare. And it is very antagonistic, very hostile, and guaranteed to produce negative results. Yet this is what the United States does to Cuba, to Venezuela, to Iran, to the Russian Federation, and the People's Republic of China. It's a pattern that goes back years and years, probably back to the Cold War, back to the Korean War, and certainly to the 1958 revolution in Cuba, when the Americans clapped all kinds of sanctions on that country. It permits or does not permit these countries that are sanctioned to develop naturally and normally, although Iran seems to have broken the mold, and China is big enough to shrug off these obnoxious flea bites of a failing hegemony of the United States. So in my view, really, if you really want to go back to Niccolo Machiavelli, if two princes want to remain on good terms, they should exchange competent ambassadors. And as I would add, that they should not engage in economic warfare as a substitute for military warfare, because they think it's cheaper and better for them. And in fact, it hurts both sides and enrages most of the world that sees how the United States uses economic and military power to try and subdue adversaries or potential adversaries.
Yes, and maybe there is another competition which is about technology, artificial intelligence, which was mentioned many times by US President Donald Trump. So, Mr. Lin, is artificial intelligence is becoming the new battlefield of these two superpowers?
Yes, of course. So, we noticed that Jensen Huang kind of jumped on Trump's plane in Alaska to at the last minute to come to China, and I think it's a very good sign because if he's not coming, actually we've been worrying that the a battlefield of the artificial intelligence will lead to some kind of tech cold war. You know that almost all developers in the world rely their models on NVIDIA's CUDA platform, but now China is developing its own. We have Huawei's CAN platform. So DeepSeek released its new model last month, and it was based totally on Huawei's CAN model, and it got rid of NVIDIA's CUDA platform. So Jensen Huang was very worried. So he really wants to join this group to China, and he wants to make sure that he can maintain market share. And from our view, we also want some. We also want to keep the cooperation, to make sure the cooperation will continue.
Indeed.
Yeah, because
So here maybe I will turn again to Mr. Springman. Here at this point, can the US realistically maintain technological dominance without fragmenting global innovation?
Well, in my view, I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can try and dominate or control the growth of technology, of industry, and so forth. I think it depends on more on resources, on the mental resources, on the education of the people actually using this stuff and innovating with it. In my view, it should be open to all, free to trade, free to talk, free to innovate, and free to exchange ideas. That's how we move ahead. We don't hide things under a bushel basket in our basement and don't let anybody but ourselves and maybe a trusted friend or relative see them. The idea is to disseminate improvements in technology and in society and in economics and so forth to make the world a better place for all rather than just for some.
Yes, thank you. And here I will also ask this question to Mr. Lin. What message does Beijing send by hosting major US CEOs during a political summit?
What do you mean by what methods? The politicians and the business leaders in China are treating them with great respect. We can see that from the posture when President Xi was walking with Donald Trump, he didn't try to pressure him. He didn't try to to walk in the front. He waited for his counterparts patiently and walked slowly and talked mildly. And they went to the Temple of Heaven. And also we can see that from some footage of last night's a business leaders meeting, that actually Lei Jun, he's the CEO of Xiaomi, and he admires Elon Musk a lot. He waited patiently to get a selfie photo with Elon Musk. So they are treating them very with a great respect.
Yes, and my last maybe question to Mr. Springman, are these multinational corporations now independent actors shaping geopolitics alongside governments?
Well, that is a very good idea, and I believe you're entirely correct that these huge multinational corporations like Boeing or Apple or something like this, General Electric, Northrop Grumman, you name it, these are almost countries unto themselves and need very little assistance from a national government. They have better connections, better knowledge of foreign markets than the actual governments do. At one time, I worked for the United States Department of Commerce in its International Trade Administration, and very few people in that department knew enough about foreign affairs to be able to advise great international businesses on what they needed to do abroad. Generally, it was the other way around. The companies like General Electric knew more about trade shows, trade fairs, exports, imports, tariffs, and so forth, and non-tariff barriers than the government officials who were supposedly charged with following these affairs. So in my view, it's certainly true that the great companies like Boeing don't need government help, and I sort of wonder why Trump took them along. Rather, they should have taken him along and educated him on international trade.
Thank you, Mrs. Springman. For now, we have to leave it there. I thank you a lot. You're joining us from Washington, D.C. And I also thank Mr. Lengwe joining us from Beijing. Tonight's summit projected diplomacy, optimism, and economic cooperation. But beneath the surface lies a far more complex reality. The United States and China are no longer simply negotiating a relationship. They are managing a structural rivalry that stretches across trade, technology, energy, and global influence. What remains uncertain is not whether competition will continue, but whether it can remain contained in a world already under multiple overlapping crises. The next decade will not be defined by cooperation or conflict alone. It will be defined by how much pressure the system can absorb before it begins to fracture. Thanks for your kind attention and good night.